Hello, this is John Spielman with the latest edition of my fortnightly column, my twice a month column for Chess Space, what used to be an agony column and is now just a column of whatever I hope you'll enjoy. And this is number 185 and it's the New Year column for 2023. So a very happy New Year to everybody. These are all my expert videos, and I'll go back to the column. I was just checking that it started as well when we got to the off, and yeah, the little red button, the little red light went on inside XSplit. So, what I'm doing this week, obviously it's the new year, so I have to do a little bit of the Janus thing, looking forwards and backwards, and then I promised last time, there's a study with 3 queens each, in which there's a Zugzwang, which is extraordinary. And I'm going to show you that. And then I thought, well, tactics are really the main thing in chess, aren't they? So I've got some tactical games and positions from 2022, which I hope you'll enjoy. So first, yeah, very happy new year, blah, blah. Magnus Carlsen's world title should pass to either Nipo or Ding Liren, who are supposed to play in April. As far as I know, there isn't a venue at the moment. There are some dates set, but who knows? Right, so, yeah, interesting to see how the young guys do this year, because they are getting very strong, all the young Indians and the other bods. And the first big test were at Vike in a fortnight, Vaikanze, so the old guard, Carlsen, Ding and Caruana. I suppose I should correct my misspelling of Fabiano. And they've got Gukesh, Erigaisi, Abdusaturov and Kamer are all playing. So it's really... And also Fanfarist, but he's now 22 or 23 or something. So an old man, obviously, in terms of the very young ones. And, right, looking backwards very briefly, re-emergence of mass over-the-board chess, of course, as Carlsen receded much of the world, is sadly, of course, not China now. Nipo won the candidates in Madrid, and Ding was second after he beat Nakamura in the final round. And of course that's really important because now we've got a World Championship match between Nipo and Ding. And the Olympiad had to move from Moscow to Chennai because of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And I did I mention here that of course some Russian players are still playing, they're able to play under the FIDE flag, and I'm very pleased because many of them, I assume most of them, are against the war. I don't know if I mentioned that here. I may have done that in the Observer, actually, because I did something fairly similar in the Observer as well for my New Year's column in the British newspaper. And so Uzbekistan won, and they were led by Nodirbek Abdusaturov, and Ivan Sokolov was their captain. They went back to Uzbekistan and they got a vast amount of money by local standards, many years' salary, and a car each. I think Ivan got about half what the players got, but still lots of money. And then Armenia was second, as they always do very well. They're always much stronger than the sum of their parts. I didn't mention in here, but of course, when they played the USA, Levon Aronian rested, obviously. And then India 2 were third. They were led by Gukesh, Damaraju Gukesh, and they were fantastic. And Gukesh was the player of the tournament, and David Howell actually got an even better performance rating than Gukesh. But okay, Gukesh was playing on board 1. Now, I said something about the Niemann affair. I didn't want to say much. I did say I think that cheating over the internet is reprehensible, but sort of people do terrible things on the internet, don't they? Doing it over the board face to face is really awful, and personally I think I incline to believe that Niemann has done nothing over the board, though of course he admits to all of the internet things. Okay, finally then we go on to the main stuff. So I say I'm not a particular devotee of Western films, but I've seen enough to know that at the end there's maybe even normally, a shootout in which the protagonists have to be at their best to avoid losing their lives. And in chess we often have a shootout at the end of the game as well. And it's important to be able to do it. So the first thing is this study by Arpad Rus, Hungarian guy, which was sent to me by Sultan Gyimesi, and he'd seen it because he actually proofread, or he saw, I don't know if he probably didn't proofread, he saw the manuscript of a book by Tibor Karolyi, a very famous author, only in IM they're ridiculously so, he's a very strong player, and Ferenc Berkesh. And this study, well, I'm going to go now to my chess base. I've put it down at the bottom. See, I've got far too many databases in my window, but there we are. So the first thing is this one. I think it may be soluble if you're told that it's going to be Zugzwang. Someday I was teaching a 2300 player, saw it fairly quickly when I said, oh, it's going to be a Zugzwang. Because I suppose you have to stop Queen F1 check, don't you? So it's sort of, well, the first move is Queen F6. It's the only winning move, as there are some 8-piece table bases now, 2 kings and 6 more, and this is the only winning move. Actually, any engine will tell you this in a microsecond as well. If I turn on the great and glorious Stockfish, there we are, instantly. Annoying, isn't it? Yeah, Queen F6 is Zugzwang. You've got no threat, but black has to weaken something, and there are a couple of, if this one, queen takes, queen E1 check, leads to mate. If queen H takes F6, queen takes check, and queen B8 check, and you do a mini staircase and give mate. Very beautiful study let, obviously from consulting table bases, because Arpad Rus is a computer person. But rather fantastic. I appealed for it last time. I don't know if anybody saw in the notes that Sultan Gyimesi very kindly had sent me an email. So then we got lots of tactics. I could have set this up, I suppose, as a series of diagrams. I was too idle to. This is the first one. We'll do knight takes knight. What does white do? He goes check. Oh dear, bishop to there, mate. I was there, I saw this at the time, and then I saw Andrew Ledger, I think I've put it in this column already, at the local Indian restaurant where we all go after the foreign CL rounds, and asked him if he'd at least given his opponent time to breathe before playing Queen E6 check. And he said, yeah, he'd waited a few seconds, which I thought was polite. You don't want the guy to fall over, do you? You're going to win in less than a minute, and you don't have to rush it. That was that. What is this? I'll just put in the diagrams up. So this is a very nice game by Mikhail Antipov. And basically it's about setting up a block. So it's white to win. I think maybe the nicest of all these tactics. There's some of the games are very nice without the final tactics being so dramatic. So it starts G5 check, which is a block. Pawn takes pawn, and then the beautiful move knight G4 check, another block. And now you've blocked the black king in total. You go bishop G8. Very pretty. I guess the guy resigned, did he? Very pretty tactic from some tournament. Oh, so it's a St. Louis tournament. Okay. Right, then the next one, I suppose I could do F11 as well. What's this? I'm sorry, I can't see these. My eyesight's crap. So this is Dubov in the Olympiad. Smirnov played knight e2, and Dubov played. Duda, Jean-Christophe Duda played the lovely queen takes g2 check. Resigns because bishop takes knight check. Sorry, I've been looking at some of Dubov's stuff. Now, is there any Dubov in here? Somebody, John Cox sent me a nice. Here is a Dubov against Nihal as well. He sent me a video, a link to the video of Dubov beating Giri in the World Rapid Play a few days ago. I'm doing this on Saturday, by the way, so Saturday 31st, New Year's Eve. And I was very impressed, actually. The thing that impressed me most was how calm he was. Because he did something I do, is that when he sat down at the board, he took his jacket off. The clock was now running. He jadoobed all his pieces. It was a rapid play game, not a blitz game. I was thinking, cool, this is impressive for a blitz game. Of course, it was a rapid play game. So he jadoobed all his pieces. He sat there for a minute, and then he played his first move. And I thought, well done, boy. That's what I do. That's really impressive somehow. That you get yourself into the zone to play, to make war. Another one of these. What is this? Right. So white played rook c2. Why was this a blunder? I think I've had this in this column here as well. And the reason, I think I did sort of murder on empty squares, or murder in a vacuum it must have been called. So I could find which one it was. It was maybe 6 or 7 ago. Actually, I'll quickly do that. So if I open this, and we have another one, and we have recent documents, then I believe I have my list of Agni columns here. And murder in a vacuum was number 177 on September the 4th, 2022. That's how I keep track of what I'm doing. Anyway, so it goes take, take, and then the very pretty queen to there check. Murder in a vacuum. And you resign because you're losing a piece, a whole piece. So that was rather nice. And then we go to the next one, which is Jonah Willow. This is my clubmate in the 4NCL. This is, so the question is, Queen d7 was played. Is rook g7, which is obvious that it might be, just a draw? Because you can see you can always check queen f6, so you've got enough checks clearly, or is there a way to win after it? And the answer is there's a way to win. You go check, check, rook checks. King h8, you play queen to there. Not queen h6, I think. Yeah, because a queen f5 check. But queen g5, and something very, very bad has happened to black on either f6 or g7. So you go to f8, and obviously Tomasz Fodor. Oh dear, I've misspelt Tomasz with a TQ. It's not very good, is it? It should be T-O, Tomasz. Tomasz Fodor had hoped that it would only be perpetual check. But at the end here, after bishop takes f7, it's completely over, because you've got this huge threat of, well, you've got several threats. Queen d3 check, king a2 achieves nothing. And we probably have the notation, bishop takes f7 here, check here, then not rook g7, but queen d6 mate. Very nice, actually. A very nice finish. Then we've got Dubov against Nihal, and this I think is more of a game, is it? Well, we'll get to the start position. So, in this position, Sarin, what does white play here? And actually, it's not that easy to see. If rook takes pawn, there's knight takes c3, which doesn't work. I suppose you could start looking at rook takes pawn, knight c3, queen g4 or something, but white has a much better move. Can you see it? It's actually more difficult to see than usual, I think, because normally there are just the queen, the two bishops and the knight make up the pattern, and the move is queen to there. You actually need the rook and h4 here because the bishop takes knight, but if you put the bishop on d6 and took off the rook, no, you couldn't put the bishop on d6 to take off the rook because then there'd be f5. So you would have to put the bishop on d6, the queen on, I don't know, bishop on c5, queen on d8, and then there'd be queen takes knight. So bishop on c5, queen on c8, and then after queen h5 you don't need the rook. And this is just mate immediately because bishop takes knight, queen takes pawn, or pawn takes queen, bishop takes h7. A well-known and very pretty mate, and knight f6 doesn't help at all, you just take it. Very nice. Kobalaya against, what's this? I don't know what this is at the moment. Oh, this is a game, really. This was more a game than I... This is from the World Rapid Play. I've been watching it, and it was just a fun game. Actually, what he should have done here is bishop h3, I think, because then if pawn takes, you have queen g5 check and rook takes g2. So bishop h3, actually. I must have corrected this in... let me just... Actually, there's going to be a corrected version in ChessBase, a better version. This is Dubov, isn't it? Against the World Rapid. There are a couple of them. Here we go. Dubov against... what am I doing? No, I'm not doing this, am I? What am I doing? Sorry. I'm now having a brain fart, for which I apologise. This is Kobylar against Ganguly. Right. So this is Kobylar against Ganguly. And you have to put in a few. KOB would be better, though, against GAN, because I thought I'd got a slightly better version, and I'm just putting this in now. Oh no, it isn't actually, is it? No better than the one I had. Okay, let's go back, because I keep them in, well, in different files. So bishop h3 is a good idea. Rook d1 would have been good for white, but he actually went no. So he's gone knight e5 takes, queen f4 he played, knight c4, rook h5, g3 is a strong move. I don't think queen g5 helps much. You want queen h6. I don't know if you can go queen g5 actually. Looks like you can. I don't know if he wants to go h4 then. I don't see why that's so wonderful. And you can still take and play rook d1 and have a very decent position. But he went here, in fact. Bishop f3, queen h3. And so now you're threatening... You have to go knight e3. Now rook d1 was the move here. Sorry. In this position, you should have gone rook d1. Because... well, the threat of the queen and rook isn't really very real, and this gives you time to play rook d5 and to menace the bishop before black's ready. And this way you should have the advantage, really a winning advantage. What happened was here, that's a mistake. Apparently rook e3 is still good for equal or something. I can't remember actually. I know it was enough to draw, but not more, I think. What does it want to do? It wants to go... Oh, you can go queen g3 check. That's clever. Is actually the move it gives. Queen g3 check, exclam. Slam. And we'll promote that. Takes. And it's about equal. Okay, but he went knight e3. And what actually happened, let me lose this. I'm going to put it in again. He went knight e3, and then black just brings another rook up. Rook up. You can't go rook d1 because of, well, bishop takes knight is going to win very easily because there's no mate and the queen's on prise. And if bishop g2, you can either go rook takes, knight takes, rook to there, knight to there, check. It obviously mates, or actually you can also go rook h1 check, take rook to there. That also gives mate, but less. That is true actually, isn't it? Yeah, because after f3 or f4 you take and you play rook h2 mate. Okay, so either of those would work, and after knight f5 you just went there, and that was the end of that. Because, well, the best you can do, there's no point going knight h4 or something as a queen g3 check. You're threatening rook h1 check, so the best you can do is this. And then there's absolutely no defence whatsoever against queen g3 check. And murder. Or rook e3, okay, that is a defence. but not a defence worth calling such. So a nice game from there. No very special tactics, just a nice one. This was also a nice game, was it? Oh yeah, this was a nice game as well by Bluebam against Muraji. I'm just putting what I saw playing through. What I actually did was I just went, show me the decisive games of 25 moves or less, so the miniatures, because they're bound to be some interesting ones. So this, what happens here? I don't know, maybe you should take that bishop, because now we've got a big problem on the dark squares here as black. We've got quite a good position, but we might well be checkmated. Well, we've got quite a good position. And we've got quite a bad position, actually, but I mean, you know, something awful is happening. He went, he didn't go F, I was wondering if we go F6 takes E6. Wonder if that would work. I guess you have to go F6, maybe Rook G8. F6 Rook G8, I don't know. So does F6 work? F6 G6. You do the thing with Queen G5, Rook G8. I think black's in time to get his queen to F8, but maybe it doesn't help. So I'm guessing F6 may win as well. I haven't even played through this yet. Let me have some. Let's have some. So if I go F6, so it's saying G5. Because if takes, I go there. That's clearly the end of the game. And if rook to there, I can just go E6. That's clearly the end of the game. And if G5 is, oh, that's disgusting, isn't it? G5 and E6 plus minus. So that actually would even have been better. Enough G6, you can go E6 as well, but actually he did it this way. And it's just a dark square game. You have a dark squared bishop. The bishop on B7 has nothing, absolutely no role at all in terms of the king's side. F6, exclam. Exclam. King G8 if takes, Queen takes, check. So the point of attack changes, but the deadliness does not. Rook to there, Queen to there, and now the pretty move, Queen G7 check. Not at all a difficult move, but nice. I mean, okay. Could you have played pawn takes pawn? I think you probably could, couldn't you, as well? That would probably, maybe Rook E8 fights on a bit, but after this it's over, of course. He resigned because of takes here. You can either go Rook DD7, or you can actually go F5, H5, and now just Rook D6, and that's even better, actually. So, nice game. A nice dark squared game. Another one, Jobava. This is fun as well. This is what happens when you provoke Bardor Jobava. He does not take any notice of your pathetic attempts to convince him that he can't do what he wants. So apparently H4 is not that clear, but still. Your guy went C5. So quite extraordinarily, he played Bishop G3. Can you imagine it? That Jobava, one of the world's best attacking players, would give off a bishop with Queen, Bishop and two knights ready, well actually after exchange, Queen and two knights ready to attack. Isn't that amazing? What a big surprise. Check here. He took it. I don't think he's got anything else to do, really. There's knight G4 happening as well. Rook H6, as you do. If knight F4, you can just play check and then G5, actually. Rook to there, knight to there, rook to there. Check, and he resigned. Obviously, he's being splattered in all directions. Knight G3, you can play Queen H2 check. Otherwise, you don't get your king out of the box because you can't get to E1. Nice game by Jobava, I thought. Then we've got another one. We've got Zubov. Have I got Zubov twice? Oh dear, I've got Zubov twice. And the reason I've got Zubov twice is because, let me just do this. Control C. I'm going to put him here because I think I had him in round order. I'm so sorry. Control V. Control R. and we'll delete this one because I was trying to. No, not. I don't want that. I want to delete it. Right. Then we've got Mamedov, and in. So what? This is a game, very short game in which white just splattered black. Just turn the board round. This has really not gone very well for black. I don't know, round about here I assume he could just get a bad position. I'm guessing, but soon he doesn't even have that luxury. It's a mistake, but it's awful at this point anyway. And I think he resigned, because if, well, queen takes rook e8 mate, and if queen takes rook e8 mate, or if g takes, bishop takes, king takes, queen to there, check. And you end up the exchange up with a winning attack. So that was a bit of a disaster. This is not actually, this is Ralph Mamedov against Yesipenko, so that's quite surprising. Kubilai Ganguly we've already done. Let's just, is this, this is a later round, so also we'll just do this. I've got more diagrams here, and we'll delete the earlier version. As I said, I was trying to delete. And finally, we've got Van Foreest against Urazayev. This is a pretty game as well, I think. Quite fun. Well, he played a fantasy variation. He plays all sorts of rubbish, doesn't he? And it is Jordan rather than very, very good attacking player. Yeah, okay, queen f2, mate. Bishop b6 is a mistake. You can go something like here, 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 and fight. What happens is knight e4 exclam. Stops mate. It's not very easy to mate an f2 if white is unkind enough to stop you. Queen checks here. Very nice move. Attacks the bishop and stops mate. Queen checks, doesn't matter, I mean. That's one pretty line. King f1, rook a. So you can try queen g4 check if you like, but if we actually do some arithmetic, at this point you have to play knight g4, and when I actually thought about it, I was thinking white had 2 pieces for a rook, but he actually has 2 extra pieces. So this happened here, here, didn't, threatening mate again. You must have enjoyed this game, I assume. And yeah, you're winning the house, the garden, and I mean, rather than try to give mate, you can just go knight e6, knight takes queen and recapture, and you have an extra rook and knight. So a very, very nice finish. So, a happy new year to everybody again. I hope you've enjoyed this. I'm sorry for the mild disorganisation of this database. I knew that I'd got the games in order, in chronological order, in an orderly fashion, but I didn't realise that I'd left the earlier ones in still. So I'm just about to remove the deleted games, and then when we look at it again, there are a nice dozen games, which I suppose is sort of one per month or something, if we wanted to think of it that way. And they're all in lovely chronological order. I'm not sure if the earlier ones are, but the ones in the World Rapid Player are. Oh, did you see? I'm sure you all know that Carlsen won both the Rapid Play and the Blitz, so he's a dangerous man. Okay, people, Happy New Year. I will be back on the 15th of January.